is the kind of presentation time. So presentations normally mean we've got a few slides. Oops. There we go. Let's kind of have the little... There we go. Almost a technical malfunction there. Anyway, I'm supposed to be, sorry for the video, am I supposed to be here? So, yes? Okay, good. Right. So we have my introduction, and then we have about 30 minutes of presentations. So obviously we've got Michael from BitStocks, we've got Patrick from Bitcoin Association, and then why don't we just have a little mini cheer for my absolute kind of the guy who has decided to come here, the inventor of blockchain and Bitcoin, Craig Wright. Now, to be fair, that is not bad audience participation, right? So what I want to do is, in my introduction, I want to give you a frame of reference as to why I got into this whole kind of crazy world of blockchain, Bitcoin, crypto, right? It isn't crypto, but at the end of 70 minutes, you will understand what we're talking about. So we have a Q&A. Just to repeat again, the Q&A is fast fire. So please, when you're listening to the presentations, scribble them down on your phone, stick your hand up on the Q&A. Richard's going to be the moderator. He's only going to choose one person, and they have 1 minute in which to answer. So I'm hoping we're going to get through 20 questions in 25 minutes, right? After that, party time, and we're here until 11 o'clock. Unless you have the VIP ticket to the after party. So depends on how well behaved you are, which is, we did the overspill there. Anyway, so I guess I started this whole kind of process from the fact that this is my 8th startup. Now, one thing for sure is when you've gone through that kind of process, it is a hideous world of pain. A lot of like these young guys, they think, oh yeah, I want to be a kind of, internet kind of sensation, but actually it's just a slog. So absolute pain is a slog. So my first company, it worked. Hurrah. All right, so my very first company, I sold for a brand new Golf GTI. No, but actually, really, I mean, that means a bit random. Clearly, it was a tax dodge for the ID Data Group. But can you imagine? I put £49,000 of my own hard-earned fucking savings into that. I worked like a dog for 2 years, 7 days a week, 15 hours a day, and that's all I got. So this is the point of the dojo, right? So if I knew then what I know now, and if we were able to stop that idiot there from making all those stupid mistakes, then that, and actually it was a very cool company. Maybe, when I think about it now, I'm like, oh. So the dojo is about starting and nurturing fledgling companies. And that's what I think I'm quite good at doing because, I'm 8 companies into this. And the whole point is that if you can actually provide, clear the decks, if you can do all the hassle and all the bullshit that is associated with a startup, and you can actually then just let them focus. Is this going louder and crazier? Or is it me? Is it too loud? So just say, is it too loud? It's okay, right. So if you can actually let the founder focus on the delivery solution and just and organize their finance for them, then actually you stand a bet. That's too loud, Zungi. You stand a better chance of success. Now, given the fact that 90% of all tech startups crash and burn, then any kind of smart entrepreneur is going to go, fuck yes, I will take as much information and help as possible, right? So that's the point of the Satoshi Dojo. We're looking to do 250 companies in the next 5 years. So we're going to be quite busy. Now, thankfully, I then ended up collectively doing better. Each one of my exits was significantly better, culminating in my last exit, And those lovely people at Zoopla, in less than 4 years, decided to pay a lot of money. I'm not allowed to say how much, but multi-millions, should we say. So, and obviously that gave me the opportunity to then go, okay, got some cash, what do I do now? So then I spent, 8 months looking at, okay, what should I do? Now, to be fair, those 8 months were in Antigua, in Colombia, where I was doing a lot of research from my hammock. Sorry, I know you guys have just been through a hideous lockdown in an English winter, so yeah, we must swap notes later. But the brilliant thing is that I've always been interested in blockchain and Bitcoin and crypto, but only from the perspective of FOMO. Christ, there's loads of guys making fucking loads of money over there. I must get waded in because I'm going to miss out, right? But actually, once you start to kind of like dig into it, and this is the thing, I thought that kind of blockchain was, dull and techie and highly complex. Now, highly complex, arguably it is a little bit complicated. Dull, oh no, 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 no. Like, the more I kind of got in and the more I uncovered, it's unbelievable. There is a Bitcoin bloodbath. It is a civil war, like literally with Bitcoin billionaires, BMOS, kind of bludgeoning it out there, and they're all kind of chasing after, the Holy Grail, which is the original Bitcoin protocol. So it's a bit like Game of Thrones, only for nerds. So the great thing is when Zoopla kind of sold, it gave me a load of time. Before I went on my plane around the world, I met Richard, my co-founder. And Richard, whee! The great thing about Richard is he can demystify a really complicated subject, and he can put it into the words a 10-year-old child can understand, which was pretty handy, exactly. So therefore, he explained to me, so once upon a time, a Bitcoin and a blockchain was invented, and it was published to the world in a famous white paper from Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, Satoshi Nakamoto, of course, is, they wanted to remain anonymous, so they kind of put Satoshi Nakamoto. But as is the want of these things, investigative journalists kind of like figured out there could only really be one person who was responsible for creating this, and they basically outed Craig Wright. So he then kind of held his hand up and went, yeah, okay, it was me and a couple of other guys, but me mainly, and yes, I am Satoshi. Now, at that moment, it all made perfect sense, because Craig Wright used to be a forensic digital auditor for BDO. And the one thing he hated were companies cheating. And it used to drive him insane because, he's a little bit on the spectrum, should we say. So he therefore created this technology which is called distributed ledger. Sounds very boring. All it means is that lots of different companies have access to that, right? And then it becomes an immutable record. So nobody can cheat, right? So, and of course they had to, add these other kind of complications into it called miners, Bitcoin miners. What a stupid, stupid word that is. I hate it when they say that. Bitcoin miners, all these guys are custodians of the data, right? So it's like, essentially he's created this system where there is zero trust. In fact, mistrust is built into the system. And that's a good thing, because they fight it out, these big data centers who have got massive computational power, they fight it out amongst themselves to then capture the next block on the blockchain. Right? It's as simple as that. They get the data, they capture the data, and they share the data, right? But it's all distributed. And because they're always kind of looking at each other and peeping and making sure they're not cheating, it's a fantastic system, right? So now, once he did that, you're like, well, that's amazing. So So I like to boil things down, right? So what I want to say is blockchain is the engine, and bitcoins are essentially the oil that makes that engine work magnificently, right? And I'll come on to explain. But then what he realized was that, okay, well, I'll tick the box, I've done that for BDO, what a fantastic thing. But why can't we then extend this technology to kind of actually plug all the failings of the current internet? And that's what happened. So we all know the internet, right? Of course, it's an amazing information retrieval lookup system. Brilliant, okay? However, it's based on 1973 technology. I mean, literally 50 years ago. Can you imagine 50 years ago what was happening, right? They didn't know what we wanted nowadays. It's TCP IP. That protocol has not changed a jot in 50 years, and it is not fit for purpose. So what's happened is that it's a leaky old bucket. Is it? I mean, we all know the fraud. We all know the pinch points in it. We all know the nonsense of the internet. And it's just, it doesn't do what we want it to do. And the biggest single failing is if you want to buy something, it then spins you out to Visa and MasterCard and PayPal. So it doesn't even allow you to do the whole kind of transaction within the internet. So what does that mean? These payment providers, they have huge power, they charge enormous fees, particularly if you're in the developing world, and they have zero flexibility. And even more annoying, can you imagine? Like, so we're all kind of digital savvy, probably if we're in this room. There is no one global, unified, digital currency. What the fuck? I mean, honestly, are you kidding me in this day and age? It's ridiculous. I've just gone to 4 countries in the last kind of 8 months, and the amount of fiat currency I've transacted, and it's extortion. The banks have taken literally 20 or 30% off me just to do that transaction. It's ridiculous. So this is why it needs to change. Now, the key thing in terms of the white paper, Satoshi Nakamoto, about peer-to-peer microtransactions. Now, it sounds deathly dull. I get that, right? But can I give you just a case in point? Because we've all done it. We've all been there looking at an article that we want to read. Halfway through the article, up comes this stupid pop-up. Oh, if you want to carry on with the rest of the article, you've got to you've got to subscribe to the Washington Post for $10 a month. How ridiculous is that? Now, you imagine if a pop-up came and it said, oh, we're going to charge you 0.00000, fraction of a cent. You'd be like, no problem, obviously. Now, if you take that as a small example, this whole kind of micro payment without having to run through MasterCard and Visa with their fat fees, that could potentially open up an enormous new industry. And that's one of the things that we are kind of like recognizing. And once you open up a new industry, you get a load of entrepreneurs who then pile in and go, oh, what about this for an idea? So that's our plan. Of course, we all know it's, because of the present internet, it's created surveillance capitalism. So Facebook, Google, all of them. But what they do is they ambush your data, and they then sell your data to other people so that they can then sell things back to you. It's a bit of a skewed, weird model, right? Anyway, so I was like with Richard, okay, that's it. I'm bought in. This whole brave new world sounds absolutely brilliant. When can I get my sticky fingers on it? Let's go. And he went, problem. And I went, what? He went, well, you've not done any online research yet. I went, okay, I will. As soon as you start going in on the online research, it is unbelievable. Like, Craig Wright is the Antichrist. It's unbelievable. You're like, what is going on? It's like, this man has created something amazing, and yet nobody recognizes what is the disconnect. So, that bing bong meant it's not working, right? All right. Anyway, so let's see if I can remember this. So my view is that somebody like Tim Berners-Lee, Sir Tim Berners-Lee, all right, this guy gets a gong for inventing the internet. Now, Craig Wright, I don't think he's even had a red carpet laid out for him, right? Or maybe tonight. So, frankly, he would probably settle for a pat on the back. And yet, everywhere he goes, all he seems to get is a size 10 boot up his jacksie. And I couldn't believe it. I just kind of looked into this. None of it made sense. So I did more research. So, and the first thing I discovered was that Craig Wright is irretrievably Australian. So, and if anyone's ever been to Australia, my family live there, I've lived there, I've been 30 times, just come back from there. They are fairly punchy, they are very direct. So, well, and particularly he's from Queensland, so Queensland equals Yorkshire, right? Very blunt, and therefore as a consequence, they make enemies, right? But that didn't really explain everything. But then I realized, I think he's a bit like Elon Musk. You know, he's got Asperger's, he's very idiosyncratic, he is also very irascible, like there is nothing better Elon Musk or Craig Wright likes better than having a Barney with the nearest journalist, which is not a good idea, actually. But the thing is, they are undoubted geniuses. We both accept that, right? But Craig Wright is an even weirder genius because he's actually a polymath. So he's got over 30 degrees. He's got at least 7 master's degrees. He's got 2 PhDs. But the way he learns is through, he listens to lots of tutorials audibly. So, but at 2.5 times the speed of a normal person. So he has chipmunks fucking squeaking in his ears. Beep, 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 beep. Like, that's how he learns, right? So, not normal, right? But that again, that didn't answer the question. Yes, is Australian, he's got controversial, he likes to have an argument, is Asperger's. But I was like, that still didn't make sense. So I dug deeper. And the beautiful thing about having a lot of time on your hands, which is what I did, I looked at 150 hours of Craig Wright, either interviews with Craig Wright or on panel discussions or people talking about him. Let me tell you, when you're overseas, you don't need Netflix. When you've got the Craig Wright channel, because it's very entertaining. Because on a panel discussion, he literally beats up everybody else verbally because they challenge him, and he's the only guy who actually has the answers. Why? Because he invented it. So, I have a tickly throat. So, with all that kind of 8 months of deep dive, and you can only come to one conclusion, that Craig Wright is Satoshi Nakamoto. And I'll explain why that's super important, particularly for us in the dojo. Okay, so why are people not embracing this invention? Okay, I think I figured it out, right? Essentially, there are forces ranged against Craig Wright's invention. And, you know, it's kind of logical, really. But the first thing is, by the way, if you want beers, feel free to kind of, the girls will supply you with beers and etc. So, anyway. So why are people not embracing this technology? That's the whole thing. So who are these people ranged against Craig Wright? He invented this thing 12 years ago. Have a guess who the first people were to use his technology. Go on, shout out. Huh? Not banks, no. Criminals, right? Criminals. Now, I lump criminals into the normal criminals, but also into the cyber criminals, right? They took it, and they were like, this is fantastic. It's crypto. No, it isn't. It's anonymous. It absolutely isn't, right? The whole thing about what Craig Wright's invented is it's got a massive track and trace. So the weird, unbelievable thing is that for years, he was Dr. Evil. He was the guy who was the mastermind behind this kind of like, you know, the Silk Road. But the authorities knew that it was track and traceable, right? So they let it go for 5 years, and then they did a huge sweep, arrested thousands of criminals. But meanwhile, Craig Wright for 5 years was, the crazy kind of mastermind behind drug, guns, and child porn. Now, that is quite a stretch, considering the fact that he used to be a Methodist minister. So to go from that to that, it's a nonsense, right? Oh, yeah. Not anymore. So then you've got the clever speculators. Now, everybody is opportunistic. Everybody goes, all right, listen, this looks amazing, the internet, the crypto, I'm going to buy a BTC coin, perhaps, right? You can't blame that. I'm not talking about those guys. I'm talking about the sneaky guys who basically ambushed Craig's original protocol and basically stripped out any and all of the useful functionality. So, the analogy I said in terms of oil in the engine? Well, BTC is sand in the engine, because all they want to do is they want to hoard it as digital gold. They don't want to use it for anything. They don't want to do anything with it. They just, someone's calling me. Right. So they don't want to do anything with it, which is a nonsense, right? Now, let's be honest. So I did a podcast interview a couple of days ago, and I went, it's all built on fresh air. And then I corrected myself, it's not even fresh. It's built on trapped wind. And that's the whole point, is we all know it, right? We all know, a bit like we've all seen The Big Short. Like, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So the whole kind of BTC Ethereum nonsense based on less substance than a multi-pack of meringues from Asda somehow has grown into this fucking trillion-dollar industry. It is a crazy nonsense, and we know it. And when it happens, because our belief is that crypto merry-go-round will grind to an almighty stop. And then everyone will go, oh, we didn't see that coming. Yes, we did. So anyway, the ones who I think are the most insidious and the most pernicious, love those two words, are the vested interest crew. And that is the likes of MasterCard, and it could be PwC, could be all the banks, and particularly the VC community. They have vested interest. They've put either billions of dollars into the status quo. Why would MasterCard, Turkey vote for Christmas? Because they charge 30p per transaction, whereas Craig Wright's invention is micro cents for a financial transaction. So you can't kind of understand it, but shame on MasterCard. They've almost got a duopoly, and yet how dare they put loads of money into fake news, right? They funded the digital currency network, which basically control the entire narrative online. How dare MasterCard use that example, and then just to try to kill something which is going to destroy their business? Shouldn't be allowed. Anyway, so now can you imagine if that wasn't enough? He's got all those forces ranged against him, and then up popped the Australian tax office. Jesus Christ, it's like this poor man. When I say poor man, his estimated net worth is about 85 billion, so probably a poor use of adjective, but anyway. But the Australian tax office said, well, Bitcoin's amazing. We want to charge you all this tax. And he went, I've not earned a single penny. So when I do, you vultures obviously are going to be first in line. They didn't like that. They took him to court, 2-year legal battle, which he won. But the quirk of Australian taxation law is that even if they spuriously try to chase after you and you win in court, you cannot claim your costs. So his legal costs were 2 million quid. Therefore, he had to put one of his companies into liquidation. None of the creditors, he paid all of his creditors. Yeah, guys. Woo! Anyway, so none of the creditors got shafted. They all got paid. And yet, of course, the narrative online was that, oh my God, he's a fraud, he's a bankrupt, etc. So this is what has been dominating the narrative. And it's just, this is what I've discovered in the last 8 months. The more you dig, the more bizarre the whole thing becomes, and actually the greater opportunity in my mind was like, shit, nobody knows about this. It's amazing. Okay, this is a perfect opportunity to pilot, right? So, okay, the future. So, thank God he's quite tenacious. He's odd, but he's very strong. So, like a phoenix from the ashes, he's created a new company called N-Chain. N-Chain has 250 employees, half of which are the best engineers on the planet. The other half are IP lawyers, which is quite handy. So he's actually built the most scalable, most robust, most cost-efficient, and most eco-friendly blockchain on the planet. And he can reference it. He can compare, I mean, Ethereum are not even in the top 10. It's just a joke, right? So he can actually say, in terms of a public blockchain, this is how it should be. Look at the internet. There were 6 internets. There's only one. Look at the blockchain. There's a ton of blockchains. There will only be one. And my view is that there will only be one, and it will be the BSV blockchain. The great news is that this big fight, he's reclaimed the BSV protocol. So BSV is Bitcoin Satoshi vision. So basically, it goes right back 12 years ago to the white paper, and therefore. Now, the great thing is, he told me earlier, it's not 2,500 patents. He's got 3,000 patents. And that's quite important. So here we are 12 years later. And thank God I didn't have to go through that world of pain. I've just parachuted in the last 8 months, right? But I believe we're now at the inflection point where all that stuff has happened. It's amazing. Now, you have to also question that someone whose net worth is 85 billion, and he ends up calling this brilliant new invention the metanet. So you know, so I wonder why it's not really taken off. So there is a brand genius. Where are you tonight? I met. Put your hand up. Anyway, Craig, you need to meet a brand expert. Sorry, I'm overrunning. Oh, shit. Okay, I'm talking too much. Right. Okay. Things are going to change in the next 2 years, and here's the reason. Number one, legal battle, right? So he has a number of kind of legal cases pending, all about who owns the original Bitcoin protocol, who is Satoshi Nakamoto. He's already won his first lawsuit a few weeks ago. He's got a few more pending, right? So my view is that he's going to wipe the floor. Once he does, he then gets massive credibility from corporates, and also is able to then stop the nonsense, in terms of the online negativity, but also from the crypto world in terms of what they do. Number two, patents. Now, patents, we all know, are very difficult to enforce, but one thing's for sure is corporates actually look at it and they go, well, why would I spend 4 million quid on building my own blockchain if at the end of the day I'm going to have to pay loads of license fees to N-Chain? So it makes them stop and think. And therefore, hopefully, they're going to then evaluate the BSV blockchain and go, well, now, do I say I really resent paying all those license fees to Microsoft and I'm going to invent my own Outlook? They don't do that. Obviously, you know, would you then like reinvent JavaScript? No, you'd be like, okay, I'm going to use the technology that is best fit for market, right? And then the third thing is banks. We all know banks, super greedy, but they're not stupid. So banks, some of them have been around for 300 or 400 years. Now, the interesting thing is, of course, they make loads of money out of all those exchanges. Why would they ever want to have this global currency? But they're not stupid. So they know what happened to Nokia and Blockbuster. They know, you know, look at the studios. You know, out of nowhere, Netflix came and wiped the floor with them. So they now realize that there's a pent-up demand with consumers because this is what we want. We don't want to be paying 30% fees through fiat currency. So there are 147 clearing banks in the world. 88 of them have RFIs out there, request for information about the blockchain. And once they start comparing our blockchain compared to all the other blockchains out there can only be one winner. So just like lemmings, once one goes, they'll all go. And that's what I think is going to happen in the next 2 years. Right. Phew, sorry, I did drag on a bit. Sorry, Jans. Right. So we've created the Satoshi Block Dojo, which, right place, right time, right technology, but also I've put together quite an amazing team. You're just about to meet some of them. Our vision is we're going to nurture and support 250 companies in the next 5 years. We're raising £2 million. We've had expressions of interest to the tune of about 1.8 million. The minimum investment is £10,000. But here's a kicker. Like all the companies I've done and all the companies I've exited, right, this is different. Because not only is it an investment in the dojo, which, by the way, is pretty amazing, and we're going to follow the Techstars model, Dubai, Asia, Africa, etc. So that grows in value. But you also get an investment in every single company that goes through the dojo. And let's be honest, with this brave new world of the MetaNet, we're going to find some amazing, huge companies. So you imagine having a small slice of an enormous company in a few years' time. So if you're interested, we're closing the round by the end of September. Speak to some of my team, or speak to me. We're here until the 11 o'clock, and then the after party across the road. Right. Okay, so we have a little short 1-minute video, and then I'll introduce you to my team. Sorry, I've waffled on. I do apologize. Thank you. Run BT.
If you're a blockchain developer, then this is your magic moment. The Satoshi Block Dojo is offering £150,000 to entrepreneurs building on the BSV blockchain and an intensive 12-week training program. Central banks will soon issue digital money to 8 billion people called CBDCs. Now, CBDCs will travel over any public blockchain. Consumers will use CBDCs to buy and sell digital content like pictures, audio, and video instantly for micropayments on the web using their mobile phone and browsers. Microtransactions will create huge new markets, and an explosion of new companies and business models will emerge. BSV can carry millions of these CBDC transactions per second. It's fast, flexible, and cheap, and transactions cost thousands per penny. The blockchain will rebuild supply chains, social media payments, and industrial IoT. Developers can build using JavaScript, Python, and C++, and the new smart contracting language called Scrypt. The Satoshi Block Dojo helps you build your idea into a real business by pairing you with an R&D partner, and provides cash, mentoring, and technical support in our intensive 12-week training program. Our mission is to get you fired up, switched on, and profitable fast. Apply at www.blockdojo.io/apply. Satoshi Block Dojo. One internet, one blockchain, one world. www.blockdojo.io.
Just to ram it home. All right, hello everyone. So, great. Thank you. Great to see you all here, and thanks for coming. Craig had 15 minutes, was that? 2 minutes? I've got 2 minutes, so I can extend it to about 10, I think. My name's Richard Bowes. I'm the entrepreneur outreach guy. I'm actually Craig's co-founder, and I'm the one who chivied him into doing something about this. So here we are 8 months later, and wow, it's fantastic. I'm so glad all of you are here, and let's go on to the slides, and I will show you what we're planning to do. Zhangyi? Oh, of course. Not used to this. Here we go. Right, welcome to the dojo. So, we focus exclusively on building startups on the Bitcoin SV blockchain, as we've said, because it's the fastest, cheapest, most scalable, most stable, and most flexible blockchain out there, and I have a whole presentation about that as well. However, for the purposes of time, it's fast, cheap, scalable, and Bitcoin SV is the original blockchain. So that's our basic proposition. Our offer is £10,000 cash to new startups. So the goal is to find new startups, new entrepreneurs, new developers, find the ideas, take them through education and training on BSV tools with relevant and experienced mentors. Support for all the admin hassle, as Craig explained. We put them through sprint methodology to build an MVP. And during the 12 weeks, we find an R&D client or 10 R&D consumers so they can iterate fast and get to market and create product market fit. And finally, we do the introduction to the business angels in order to help them raise their money. So our process in the dojo, first of all, we want to identify the entrepreneurs. So we do that by going out, creating presentations, going to see university students, meetups, that kind of thing, industry groups, to educate them about BSV. Then we want to engage them. Then we want to engage our R&D partners. And so for what we're going to do here is ideation creation sessions, where we bring together professionals from industry verticals to identify problems and opportunities. And the third stage, of course, is activation, where we get our developers into workshops and hackathons, teach them about how the tools work, and encourage them to hack new ideas and create new solutions. So, how does our process work? We take in applications onto our website, obviously. We evaluate them. We've got a host of evaluators, advisors. They give us feedback, and then the approvals are invited to enter into the dojo for the 12 weeks. The dojo process, startups join the dojo and get £10,000 cash. After 3 months of intensive, then they get 3 months of intensive training and mentoring with a real world R&D client. And after 3 months, they present their product or service to our investor partners. The business angels say yes or no. If they say yes, the startup receives 140,000 SEIS funding to last them 12 months. And at the end of 12 months, they built their tech product, secured their first paying clients, and they present to our business angels, okay? To secure 1.3 to 1.5 million pounds funding in EIS funding. So there we go. That's the process. Why choose the dojo? Well, here's all the things that we offer. Now, we've got leaflets here that explain this in detail. It's a lot of work. And we're really trying to make partners with our startups and really get them on the runway as much as we can, provide as much as we can. So, all kinds of legal stuff here, financials, the financial model, providing the mentors, helping them find their co-founder. Intensive training on the Sato Learn. I'm going to introduce you to Robin next. Assisting with our competitor analysis, producing competitor matrix, handling their tech issues, hosting SSL, website, etc., building a database of customers for them, and doing branding engagement so they can work out sales strategy, and we provide them with pitch training as well. And then finally, we introduce them to the angels. Right. And that's it. Okay, so I shall hand you on to Robin Coates, our CTO, next. Here you go, Robin.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Robin. I'm the Chief Technology Officer. A bit about me, I'm a serial hackathon winner. I'm now in the final year of my Cambridge PhD. I'm a Cambridge MetaNet Society president, a society that enables Bitcoin SV development for Cambridge students. And I'm also the CEO of the Vianex Corporation. So what we do there is we bring people together, we create ideas, we think about executing ideas and how to make them valuable businesses. In that same spirit is my role as the CTO of the Block Dojo. I will evaluate the technical feasibility of those startups, whether it makes any sense or not to build them on the blockchain or if it's just a marketing gig, to actually filter out the companies that add real-world value by using the blockchain. And as part of it, I will also provide technical support in my person, but also as Vianex Corporation. We will have a 12-week program to teach our students, our startups, how to build applications from all the knowledge we acquired over the last 2 years in BSV development, but also earlier experience with other startups. And to skip a bit, to save a bit of time, we directly go a bit into the class. So we use Say2Learn, interactive learning tool, to teach students within just a week of time all the basics of Bitcoin SV development. And one of the mentors there is Craig himself. We focus on 4 main incentives, which is the wallet workshop to learn the basics, the transactions, smart contracts, and applications. And after this week, you can essentially create any kind of blockchain application. And to give our startups a bit of unfair advantage after selecting them, we also introduce the Realize infrastructure. It's basically an API infrastructure that abstracts any complexity from Bitcoin SV development away. We spent around 20,000 hours in Vianex to develop it with over 20 developers. And we will give it for free for any of the Block Dojo teams. And with that, we think that the only challenge for them is actually finding a product market fit, not the technology. Yeah, that was it from my side. And I give to James.
Cool. So I'm told by multiple alcoholics to crack on, so I will be pretty quick. So I just want to go back and focus a little bit on what Craig said in his introduction. He mentioned, and Richard also, about getting these startups funded. And most tech accelerators say that. And typically it's a bit of a weak proposition because they say it culminates in being introduced to angels. And in my experience, that doesn't generally, the program tends to filter off there. So we're coming at it from a slightly different angle. So a little bit about me. It's not entirely egotistical, but it's quite relevant. So 16 years building 4 companies, raised 35 million across those companies, had a few good exits, and then I actually took early retirement for a little while. It's not mentioned, but got bored, and then I decided I want to get back in the startup world. And so what's the hardest thing in the startup world? What's the problem? What can I try and where can I help? So I became an investment consultant. I never actually came up with a good name for it, but effectively taking away the pain of raising money. So in that role, raised in the last 12 months, actually, slightly over 130 million for different companies. In 2020, was responsible for 20% of all the successful crowdfunding campaigns across Europe. And some of the things there that we're going to be looking at, sort of helping startups through the dojo. So I'm sure you know most of it, but pitch decks, outreach, some coaching, what we like to call herding cats, which is actually trying to get all the investors to sign the document on the same day, and closing the round and some of the boring legal stuff. So going back, I think Craig said in his introduction, 90% of startups fail. And if you do any form of research, you'll find that number one reason is typically always cash flow, which is obviously linked to failing to raise investment. And it's hard work. It's not that much fun for most people. It's a big distraction, and that's one of the main issues. And if you're doing it for the first time, and throughout the ecosystem of one startup, you might only have to do it several times. So it's not a skill that you necessarily need to learn so much. It is one skill that you can kind of outsource a little bit. And going back to the chart there, failure can kill. It's the number one startup killer. So how do we fix that? Or how do we help startups in the program? Right back at application stage, we look at it from a positive investment approach. And by positive, I mean we're not a VC looking for a reason not to invest in your company. If there's some weak areas, then we'll look to fill those and to help you through. As Rich has mentioned, £10,000 golden hello week 1. And then there's some investment focus throughout the 12-week program leading up to that big pitch event. I'm sure event somewhat like this, where we're going to have a really big network of active angels and funders who are actively looking to invest. and we get them engaged early on. So at the pitch event, they know what they're coming to see. And following that, we have a sort of a more secret plan, I suppose, in terms of how we engage for the longer run. So once they leave the 12-week program, we're then engaged to get them to that 1.5 million round 12 months later, and then potentially even onto Series A, et cetera, et cetera. See, I told you I'll keep it short and sweet. We've got to crack on now. Thank you very much.
Right, I guess in absence of a moderator, that'll have to be me. Next, we have Patrick Prince giving an introduction to the BA, I think. Where's Patrick? There you are. Right.
Thank you. Do we have me on a slide, by the way? No, I don't. So my name is Patrick, and I'm kind of a big deal. You already see it. The fact that they allocated 5 minutes to my presentation tell you that I'm a bit lower down the hierarchy. What I do is I'm the managing director of the Bitcoin Association. We are a non-profit association based in Switzerland, Zug. And we have the mandate of advancing the BSV ecosystem. So we provide you educational tools, we give you access to learning programs, we do a lot of facilitating, and we do tons of events for different interest groups, investors, developers, entrepreneurs. And I thought a bit about what can I actually share with you here. 5 minutes is a very short time, but I want to share my personal experience. The way I started with Bitcoin, it felt to me like a foreign language. I fell for the same fallacy that many fall. They think this is a computer science, cryptography, and a pure developer topic. And so I sat down with my wife in 2017 and said, we have to get started. We signed up for ETH, which is like the Technical University in Zurich developer program for how to dive into Bitcoin. And we never finished the first class. The reality was it was way too technical. And then I met a gentleman who told me that Bitcoin is actually 90% law, 9% economics, and 1% technical. And this gentleman was actually Craig, that I met at a private dinner in Zurich. And it opened my eyes a bit. I said, maybe I'm much more qualified than I thought, and I took a bit of a wrong perspective. I think the tools that are available now are different. I highly encourage you to check out our online educational program. It's bitcoinsv.academy. We also have a program by here, Vionex. It's called Sat to Learn. This is for everyone. It's for business minds, for entrepreneurs, but also developers that want to learn Bitcoin script. And I think Bitcoin script engineers will be the most sought after job profile in the market in the years to come. We see a lot of demand already, and we are dedicating a lot of resources to train the talent for these jobs tomorrow. So I take a lot of kind of initiative in going out and sounding this vision that I have with stakeholders, particularly enterprises of all sectors and all sizes. And I've come to the conclusion that an immutable global data structure, a standardization of the way we transfer data and being able to put a price tag on data is something that has been missing. We talk a lot about AI as a trend, cybersecurity is a trend. We talk about a data economy that we already live in and that is becoming more and more visible. 85 sensors per second are currently put online, and it connects machines to machines, human to machines. And think about how the data will actually flow. It has to run on a neutral ground. It cannot operate out of the Tesla database into the IBM database. They don't want to give up the control and the sovereignty over the data. They don't have a way to price and monetize this data, and it needs to be standardized to flow seamlessly and instantly. So here's my vision. The data economy is missing a puzzle piece, and it's a global, neutral, real cloud. Cloud today is what? It's my data with AWS. It's not the cloud as people envision it. I'm telling you the blockchain, a scalable, neutral ground where you retain control and data sovereignty, is the real cloud. And it's the missing puzzle piece to realize the data economy that we all, I think, are convinced that is going to be a part of our life in the future. The second thing I mentioned already is the data standardization. Bitcoin to me is what the containers did to the supply chain industry. It standardized the format, so you could be much more efficient. And this is really the one single thing I want to let you go home with. The Bitcoin system has always been about data efficiency. It's not about censorship resistant. It's about being able to transact and communicate, send data instantly, peer-to-peer, and put a price tag on it. Microtransactions are the real innovation. I've always been able to send you $1 million. That's not new. And that's if you look at the average price volume on other blockchains these days, it's really large monetary value transfers. But the payment is only a data transfer. This is the common single denominator of all this. It's always about data. And it doesn't matter if it's a GPS signal, it's if industrial IoT signal, if it's login data, it's all about data. Now you can charge for an API request, you can charge per second of a YouTube video and transfer the value directly to the intellectual property creator. You can do multi-payouts instantly. You can transfer tax revenue in real time as I pay at the cash desk. This is the real innovation. And single, real cloud, and neutral ground where data can interoperate in real time and where you can price any type of data, no matter how small, with a value, microtransactions. So I want to leave you with this thought, and I'm really curious on what's going to come out of this Block Dojo incubator. We're really proud to have you guys as part of the ecosystem. We're very happy to support you guys. And I encourage everyone, no matter which industries you come from, to think about what microtransactions and immutable data ledger can do to your industry. The single question I ask every entrepreneur I meet is, what's your biggest data problem? Because this is what it's all about. It's a data infrastructure.
Thank you, Patrick. Okay, great. And Michael, we've got Michael Hudson from BitStocks, who's very kindly sponsoring the drinks tonight. Or is it the food? I'm not sure. It's food.
Hello, everyone. So I'm a bit of a freestyle artist, but I've got 5 minutes, I've got to make it work. Quick show of hands. How many people in the room are investors? Okay, I assume majority. Entrepreneurs? Okay, pretty balanced. Makes my 5 minutes more difficult. Okay, so couple of concepts I want to quickly cover. So firstly, my name is Michael Hudson. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called BitStocks. I've been professionally in this space now for 7 years. And in that time, I've had a hair transplant. And that is crypto. Now, in between this transition, about halfway through, we pretty much started off as an educational house, right? How do we help demystify the space, inform and educate investors that there's something here, that this new technology that we call Bitcoin, blockchain technology, there's something here. It was predominantly kicked off through the investment side of the business. 3 years in, had a big epiphany moment, predominantly fueled massively by Craig just coming back on the scene with a big, huge boot and rearranging my understanding of the network. And I've pinned it down now to basically 3 concepts, okay? To really understand Bitcoin and why Bitcoin's important, three concepts. I'm always gonna have the pressure on because the man that invented it is right there, but I'm gonna see if it passes your test, okay? A paper, a pen, and time, okay? To me, what Craig invented was something that's existed for ever, really, hundreds of years, thousands of years, a piece of paper. The difference with what Craig done with that piece of paper is he digitized it, right? And he presented it to the world, and he made it public, okay? So Bitcoin, the network, is just a digitized piece of paper. Now, if you put a line in the middle of that piece of paper, you've got inputs, you've got outputs, you've got credits, you've got debits, right? Now, a piece of paper is cool, but it doesn't really mean much if I don't have a pen, right? And inside the network, we have this beautiful thing called the Satoshi unit, the pen. And here's a bit of the fallacy, right? That pen, in the original design, has 100 million bits that we call Satoshis. 100 million bits. And I'm pretty confident you designed the system so we utilized these bits, as many of these bits as possible. What we see today in the crypto space is we have this diamond-encrusted Cartier pen. Diamond-encrusted, that we call BTC. It's $50,000. Okay? Now, if I gave anyone in this room that highly valuable pen, the diamond-encrusted Cartier $50,000 pen, and then I gave you the piece of paper, and I said to you, draw me a Mona Lisa. In that pen, you have 3 to 4 strikes a second. By the time you've drawn me a Mr. Men, you'll be a couple $100 in, right? So how much would it cost you to create a Mona Lisa? And to me, that was the light bulb moment, because that 50,000 diamond-encrusted Cartier pen that everyone's bragging to their friends that they own one is useless because you can't utilize the ink. It's all clumped up. It's like trying to paint the Mona Lisa and you've got a builder's brush. It's never gonna work. So then I was tasked with a challenge of, okay, well, if this is really what's going on, where's the alternatives, right? So then I looked at Ethereum. I was like, okay, it's not a builder's brush, but it's definitely an elementary brush. There's no kind of precision there. How do we take this to the next stage? And then another concept kicked in. I was like, okay, it's not just the piece of paper and it's not just the pen. Every single strike you take, no matter the velocity of those strikes, are logged. Chronologically logged. So this is not only reinventing the piece of paper and giving humanity a new pen, right? Every single interaction is logged in a chronological time fashion, which means we as a global collective, for the first time ever, we can break our amnesia. Because we can store and log absolutely freaking everything. Now, Patrick mentioned data integrity. Right? And I feel that the period that we're in the world today, data integrity is the be-all and end-all. It is the new oil, we've coined it, and we're building things like the MetaNet to take advantage of the new oil. Let's simplify it down further. This whole data economy, data integrity world that we're speaking about is effectively the byproduct of your consciousness. Right? So how do human beings create cheaply, reliably, stably? So if there is an artist that's sitting in Africa, there's an artist that is in South America or in Asia, that any human being on the planet can pick up a pen and take a shot at Mona Lisa. That is Bitcoin SV. That way, that's what it is, and that's what it serves to humanity, is we genuinely have a chance because Craig's built a network that is a ring that allows any human being to pull up the chair to that ring and read or write. That's what we're coining as decentralization, but that's just distribution. And that provides humanity, in my opinion, a tool where we don't just get enticed by Google's nice search box because it's free and they've got the detailed search box on their side. We now build tools and data systems that liberate us and serve us, and we can trade for it directly. So what we're doing over at BitStocks, after having this clarity that Craig and the original vision of Satoshi has brought back to the surface, is we're actually putting a banking environment, effectively our company's financial ledger, on top of this public ledger. So the inputs and the outputs are being validated by a public source. That means that your experience when you go to our company, utilize our institution, is you get to click a button and not assume that your money's there and the bank it is that you're utilizing is solvent. You can verify and validate that they are. That is the power of having a ledger, and that's the power of utilizing a pen that actually works. Thank you.
Michael, would you like to?
Yeah, absolutely. And the guy who's responsible for me having a hair transplant, Satoshi Nakamoto.
So that down there is what I'm not meant to be having tonight, and I told my wife I wouldn't, even though I've had a couple. It's because I'm still basically scared shitless of talking to people, to be honest, after all this time. That's why I disappeared in 2015. I am utterly shit scared. And the point is, I'm going to be totally honest with people. That's what I do. And the thing is, who knows what an AQ score is? No? What's an AQ score? Autism quotient. So here's the thing. You know Rain Man? He was 36. I score 45. Yay. So I'm not normal. I get on with a few people and I do what I need to do when I learn, and I train myself to integrate. And I don't do it well. I still don't understand my wife, and I still don't understand everyone else. I just invent things. But that's what I do. So I want to be an entrepreneur, but I'm not. I'm an inventor. I invent shit, and other people make it work for me because I invent enough. So right now, I'm in the process of setting up other companies as well as Enchain because I've got other ideas. Not just blockchain things, but all sorts of other shit. So that'll come out later. I mean, most people don't even realize, so how many of you had problems doing degrees in uni? I was enrolled in 3 undergraduates, 5 doctorates, and a total of 25 degrees, the rest being masters last year. My mathematics GPA is 4.0 in American Standard. My politics was 4.73. My best English type paper is 99.9%. And I don't understand people at all. I can't read faces. I don't remember things that people do. I'm totally fucked.
Like the rest of us.
Yes, but I do other things. I read books and I remember them, literally. I read a lot of books. I spend a lot of my money on books and education. 25 degrees, as you might guess, costs a lot of money. And I invent things. And I was angry with a lot of people for a lot of time. Because if I had emotional control, I'd be a Vulcan. Because that's what Vulcans did. They managed to actually have people like me and get emotional control. I don't have that. So what I do is I invent things. And I do a lot of it. I do it every day. I can write more than most people. Since COVID started, and I track everything too, I've written 5.5 million words. And I have evidence of this. And I'm not asking for anyone to invest. I don't need to do that. What I'm actually doing is I'm trying to go to the government right at the moment and give them a shitload of money, because I'm not anti-government. One of the biggest inventions in human history, in my opinion, was the creation of the limited stock company. I think it can be improved. I think if we have companies that involve the government, not in the normal way that most people think shareholders, but actually dividends, etc., that imagine if Google actually brought back all that money into America. And imagine if Britain had money brought back Imagine if it wasn't sitting overseas. Imagine if it was not because it was, could be taxed if it came back, something else. So I've got an idea on that. So my idea of this shitload of money that I have is probably 20 billion of it will go to the British government. In other words, to form something new. The rest of that will go into companies and other such things. And yes, I own a shitload of BTC, and I'm not going to spend a cent of it. I don't really care. I mean, the BSV will end up being worth more anyway. This is part of what I'm doing for my Masters in Education. I want people to learn. And truth matters. And Bitcoin's a predicate system. True, false. And there isn't anything else. There's no somewhere over there truth, your truth, my truth. There's truth. And that's it. And for all the shit we're facing in society right now, that matters. Yes, the British did a whole lot of shit. Yes, the Americans did a whole lot of shit. Everyone's done fucking shit. Get over it. The first thing to remember is we're all people right now, not from our past, us. And I want a world where people start trading. And we mentioned this whole thousandth of a cent. I don't want that. I want a millionth. And I think we can do it. 1 millionth of a cent per transaction sounds good to me. It means people in Ghana, people in Kenya, people in the Congo can honestly have their money kept. They can actually make money. So all the shit that we're seeing right now in Afghanistan, a lot of that's money. It all comes down to money. If we can stop fucking warlords, and the only word is fucking asshole, freaking piece of shit warlords, actually wanting to take other people's money, good. Imagine if some poor, impoverished, but intelligent person who wants to learn in the middle of Zimbabwe can now make a little bit more. Not because I want to give back. None of this fucking bullshit that people keep going. None of the woke corporate crap. None of the big bank, we're going to say we're woke crap. Fucking capitalism. Real capitalism. The way Adam Smith actually mentioned. You know, the guy who actually wrote moral sentiments first. Not what we say capitalism is because, well, it's really mercantilism under another name. Fucking person to person. IP to IP. That's what I meant by Bitcoin. Individuals exchanging. I'm not here to take your money. Others are. I'm terrible at this. I invent shit. I'll never really be an entrepreneur because I just invent things and I tell you actually how it is, which pisses off a whole lot of investors. I tell you it will be 10 years and they go, oh, but can't you do it in 5? And I go, no. So the simple answer is all I'm going to do is invent things. I'm going to try and make people's lives easier. I'm going to try and make them honest, whether they like it or bloody not. I'm an Aspie. I hate things that aren't honest. That's what I do. I have this real breakdown when people keep telling me bullshit and I can not find the reality. I'm in a fight with the university that I'm involved with because of Indigenous studies at the moment. Not because Indigenous people weren't fucked over. They were. because of the bloody noble savage crap that's there. Everything was perfect. It wasn't. Both sides were fucking fucked up. I mean, the whole point here is be honest about it. They were fucked up, we were fucked up, everyone fucked each other. The end. I mean, I have problems with this because I go and, well, now I've got money, so I buy old books, which makes me a complete asshole. The worst thing you want in university is a student with a shitload of money, because I pay people to search them up. And I sit there getting real original source material that no one else has ever seen before, and I go, but this person said. And they go, but that can't be real. And I go, I don't care. So, what I want is I want to build a system that makes an honest internet. I don't want Facebook. I don't want a closed garden where people own information. I don't want Twitter. I want people competing honestly. I want you owning your data, and if you want to be on a Twitter equivalent, you can fucking move. You can move between them. You can have whatever the best platform is. That simple. I want someone to build a platform based on what you own. You. So The Economist said that data is the new oil. The whole point is people are data. You're not fucking oil. You're not being sold. You are right now, but you shouldn't be. I want you to own your own history. The good, the bad, the ugly. I've got lots of good, bad, and ugly in mine. I mean, I've had lots of fights with people. I told a judge once that he's a fucking stupid idiot. Trust me, that did not go down well. Strangely enough, he didn't agree with me and he gave me a contempt of court because, well, actually, I did say with all due respect. No, I said with all due respect, Your Honor, you're a fucking idiot. So, I actually believed it, so, yeah. I've read some of his cases. He was a fucking idiot. And he was also wrong. Unfortunately, I didn't have good lawyers and they didn't actually put any evidence in. He was. I learnt, but that was a very valuable lesson. Because of that, I did an undergraduate degree, and then I did a master's degree, and later this year I'll finish my PhD in law. It's been a long time. I also went through the bar process and barrister process in Australia. I did the solicitor school training, and none of that would have ever happened if it wasn't for a judge who basically I didn't like. At that point, I thought I knew everything. I didn't. And if I had known more, I would have done much better in court. I thought I could trust my lawyers. I thought I could do all the normal everyday things that people do. And none of them wanted to actually put any evidence forth, because if I put evidence forth, it would mean I'd be in front of the judge. And I'm an asshole. I'm an Aspie. I absolutely cannot control myself at times, and my lawyers know that. And they've worked to move beyond it, and I'm still terrible. And the simple answer to this is, I'll always be an Aspie. But I'm an Aspie who actually understands now. And that's why I invented Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin's a predicate system. It's true and false. And most people in the world don't give a shit about anything other than that. They want a payment. They want the truth. They want to record the bad things that happen in history. They want to record the good things that happen in history. And they want it to be honest. They don't want the bullshit. And that's what we have in this world right now. We have a fucking world of bullshit. For those who don't know, in philosophy there is, Frankfurter is a Princeton, I think, maybe Yale, philosopher who wrote on bullshit. He wrote that because he was saying there are three things in this world. That which is false, that which is true, and that which is bullshit. And bullshit is that which no one gives a shit whether it's true or false. Welcome to politics.
Right. On that moment, we're going to do the panel discussion. Thank you. Craig Wright. Yeah. Which seat would you like? All right. So we've got, as you know, I'm trying to mix things up and make things a bit more interesting. Can we have our panel people? So we got Robin. We've got Michael. Where's Michael from Bitstocks? We've got, you are in fact the moderator, so you should be doing this. Right?
I think so. Thank you. In fact, that's my moderator's chair. So, well, no, that you guys actually, Craig. Sorry, just put me on the phone. Yeah, I think so. The other suddenly we've got 5. Right. Yeah. Well.
So guys, this is. Well, I'm trying to do rapid fire questions, right? You understand the principle? So grab your drinks now, because I'm trying to do 20 questions. Guys, I'm trying to do 20 questions in 25 minutes. Sorry, I know it's dragged on, and I'm guilty as charged, Your Honor. But we are, and then we're going to do the 2 tickets to Japan, right? So, or 10 BSV, right? So, okay. So, well, go and speak to her now. Why is that? All right, guys. Sorry. So, anyway, hands up. Who wants to go to the after party? Hang on. It can only hold 30. So let me do that again. Okay. You know, by the way, you know the rule of the after party. Once you're in, you cannot leave before 4 a.m. You know that, right? Are we all agreed, right? No, okay, yeah. I want to see amazing views of London, and then I want to piss off after 10 minutes. You're in it to win it, right? So anyway, all right. So please, just fire loads of questions, and also be brutal. Be brutal. Be absolutely ruthless and brutal. You can say anything. Nothing's embarrassing, whatever. And one thing's for sure is, Craig Wright is controversial. So, and he's got 1 minute to disavow your nonsense. So if you ask him a question, all right, he will pile in. And as you've seen, he don't hold back, right? So you can tweak his style. All right, so we do have a moderator, apparently my co-founder. Anyway, seeing as he's not here, all right, okay. Okay, I'll say you deserve it, sir, because you are in fact dressed like a dojo. What are you dressed as? Like a? Wow. Okay. What is your question? I will repeat it to the audience. All right. So I know it's got to be a short question, right? So, what is going to happen to BTC if BSV is on the march? Okay. This is not my job, right? Okay. It obviously makes sense that Craig answers this. Richard, where are you? You've got 1 minute.
Well, a lot of that money will be drained out. And I'm sorry, stupid people. It will be drained out. And I will use it for good uses, according to what I feel are good uses.
Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Craig. Craig, you were actually supposed to be on the panel, so we seem to have one chair.
Can we get a chair, please?
We've also lost the prize. We've no idea where it's gone. Right.
Well done, you did it within a minute. Okay.
Have a seat.
I'll stand over here.
All right. Can we have some questions from the audience? Yes, Simon Dave.
Well, technically, they're all my platform, but what you're talking about is BSV, and the simple answer there is there are exchanges being built at the moment. The only difference is we will have things like AML and all that crap that everyone sort of hates. Gravity is doing some, Fabric are doing some. So yeah, he wants me to say Gravity again. There will be a multitude of different options. The only problem is it will be totally legal, and you'll have to actually be able to not bend over to the tax office and the money laundering people as they want to do the normal bend over and because you haven't done it right bit.
All right. Thanks very much.
10 seconds of
Well, no, we're doing 1 minute each with lightning rounds. Do you want to say something for 10 seconds?
Yeah, gravity fixes everything that Craig just said. And that's what you need to use as a service is Gravity. So bitstocks.com, Gravity. No worries.
Thank you. All right. Let's have one down here.
Actually, that's incorrect. VHS was a better technology. The mythology is the Sony. The Sony platform was best for people in a small niche. Now, the difference is I'm not niche. Now, the volume always wins. People say it's a better technology because this group who were exceptional people liked it. I don't give a shit about that little group. I care about the other 7.5 billion. And those 7.5 billion can use my damn platform for less money, faster. That's it. Really, I don't care. I mean, the whole point is NFTs, everyone goes, oh no, Craig Wright didn't invent anything. Well, you do realize the patent behind that has already been granted in a number of countries. It's mine. So they sit there going, oh no, it's not Craig's. Well, guess what? It is this time. And guess what? I don't mind if they want to fund BSV by licensing for a little while.
Okay.
happy.
Good. We're going to move on now. Thanks, Adam. Thank you very much. Can we have someone from over here? What are your thoughts on sustainability in blockchain?
Okay, so sustainability comes down to the ability to reduce the input of electricity, goods, services, yada, yada, yada. Guess what? If I'm talking about going to a millionth of a cent per transaction, it's less. That's it. So BTC, Ethereum are around 100 million times more expensive, 100 million times more electricity, 100 million times or more hard drive space, etc., yada, 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 yada. That's it. I make it cheaper. I make it more efficient. It's called economics.
All right, okay, so we need to like involve questions that don't involve Craig Wright, right? So hands up, go on. So give some questions. Right, so
There are other people.
We have the Bitcoin Association. We have like a super. I mean,
Yeah.
Robin is the classic. The you know, can you imagine PhD at Cambridge? He knows everything about blockchain. He knows intimately Ethereum, and he's like, well, and obviously he's German as well. So that means everything is very analytical. So, okay, hands up. All right, Peter. Oh no, good. No, quick questions and quick answers, right? Come on, quick question. All right, you sir with the beard. Quick question. All right, so. All right, so this is to Patrick. So obviously Bitcoin Association, he's got a very good view in terms of what's going on in the world, right? So your thing was, okay, well, what apps are actually coming through? Because it's all right having this amazing technology, but is there anything actually being built on top of it? Patrick, over to you.
Yeah, I've just got the news earlier that in the last 24 hours, 58% of all transactions globally across all blockchains were on BSV. And this number is expected to grow exponentially now. I mean, currently we are aware of a big success of crypto fights. I think in the gaming world we see a lot of success. Think about controlling also gaming compliance. There is a lot of aspects to the kind of the regulatory front, and there's other industries where there have been data problems around. If you look at it, probably I would argue 75% of all cases that we see at the BSV on the BSV protocol are actually data-driven business models. So I feel that payments and digital identity, these topics will take a bit longer than the kind of nation-driven, government-driven business models, but the industries that have historically struggled to do business, send industries.
He said that, but I'm going to say something else. In the next 2 years, every transaction that you think is a big transaction now will be small. I'm not going to tell you who or what, but I'm going to tell you that this space is going to be at least 2,500 times bigger.
Exactly. This is what I don't understand about these stupid banks. Is like, can you imagine? Like, there's an entire brand new industry of micropayments, right? Which they are resisting because they're so fat and greedy, and they just make their like. But actually, if they woke up and they realized that, oh my God, this is just we're creating an entire new industry. It's a bit like in 1994 when everyone was saying, oh. Believe it or not, I was in Hawaii, and this guy like showed me the internet, and I was like, shit, this is amazing. This is going to transform everything. And I wasn't in the ability to be able to do anything at the time, but it feels like the same thing. Is that I've witnessed and seen the growth of a brand new industry, and the difference is This time I can do something about it, which is the Satoshi Block Dojo. Anyway, okay. So next up, okay.
Even better.
No, you sir in the right-hand corner in the blue shirt. Okay, so I think your question is that there was a 51% attack on the whole kind of BSV. Like, this is definitely my dweeb genius, right, from Cambridge University, who can answer that. So if people don't know, everyone says that the BSV blockchain is insecure, right? We don't have enough hash rate or whatever. I mean, it's beyond my pay grade. I don't give a toss. But I employ incredibly smart people who do know about this. So over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So first, we saw an attack, but was the attack successful? That's a bigger question. And looking at what happened, and it's a network connectivity between nodes, which nodes kind of fell for the attack, which don't, I would say in the end, the attack didn't even succeed. And no attack will ever succeed to be profitable over time. So this attacker that failed spent over $200,000 to create the perception of an attack, but ultimately the Vinex architecture and many other architectures never had a second downtime. And maybe I give a few seconds to Craig too to discuss the long-term sustainability of attacks.
So the whole thing is, every single chain is public. When you create a secret chain, then people know about it. And the whole thing here is, it's a contract. Contracts, most of you will understand, are something that judges really crack down on. I made this not to be anonymous. I made this not to be private. I made this so that miners were known. People, individuals, they're pseudonymous. Miners are fucking well out there, known to the world. This is how Bitcoin works. Everyone on the earth knows every miner. That simple. You can look at it now.
Okay, we're moving it on. Right, okay, hands up. Okay, the guy with the hat.
So, I was wondering, what are your individual challenges? The one individual challenge that solves
What? I mean, it's just fucking reinvented the internet. I mean, hello. Right, a new question, right. Okay, Anjum.
I'm assuming majority of investors in Block Dojo are non-tech, normal investors who do all sorts of investments. And therefore, if non-tech
Get a move on.
bricks and mortar company wanted to integrate blockchain, how could they do that?
Okay.
Okay.
So hang on. So why not Michael from Bitstock? Do you want to take that random question? Right. Okay. Okay. So all right, it's passed down.
So ultimately, it's all about creating real-world value. And the question, how do we get real-world value? Like, how many hours of coding do we have to spend to get there? And then it's actually a pretty similar process to giving a CPU a command where we're not using the base level anymore, but we're rather using higher level languages such as Python, JavaScript, to make difficult functions very simple in a single line of code. And exactly the same we are seeing now happening with script, but also with Vinex architectures, where we create APIs where you can plug those APIs in any existing applications without any extra knowledge about blockchain, and you can profit from all the benefits of the blockchain. I think that will be the future.
So, and that's why it's in tech and not sales.
I'm going to add something here.
You, sir.
Because you can make simpler things.
Hang on. Someone's ambushing my microphone. Sorry, sir. What do you say? Stablecoin.
Well, you've already seen crappy stablecoins, but the reality is a stablecoin is just a tokenized asset. The first tokenized asset happened in 1983 with the dematerialization of many of the US sort of exchanges, including New York Stock Exchange and Chicago Exchange. What you're asking is, when the fuck will people realize that this is no fucking different? That simple.
I'm going to add my stablecoin 2 cents to this. I'm actually going to merge your question with your question, because I think your question was a great question. I think stablecoins are really important for BSV, right? Because we have a branding crisis, okay? Now, I'm a builder on BSV, and as a builder, I'm now building a house, right? Now, if you come to my house, I want to make sure that if you take a shit and you flush the toilet, it works. Period, right? Now, on these other blockchain solutions, if you do that, your house is going to stink of shit. Ethereum, these other chains, your house is going to stink of shit. Okay, great BSV, but we need to stop that approach, right? What we need to do to cross the bridge is we need to make BSV what it is. It's freaking plumbing. And Craig, you know I love you, but with the greatest respect, you are Mario, right? You're the king plumber, right? And like any good plumber, I want to build my house on top of that. I want to have that plumbing system integrated into my house, and I never want to call you again, Craig. It just works, right? That's a good plumber. You've built something that works.
Obviously, you're not a British plumber.
True that. But I think we're now at a stage where if we're talking about investing in companies or your entrepreneur building on this plumbing system, right, make it invisible, because we're now at a stage with NFTs and these new technologies that are coming out now where the mainstream's knocking on our door. They're not knocking on our door to have a sniff of the plumbing. They want to experience the kitchen, the house, the garden, the balcony. That's what they want to do. So that's what we got to do.
Okay. All right. Okay. So the lady with the another hat question. So the question is CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. When Satoshi Nakamoto, aka Craig Wright, launched his white paper 12 years ago, did he have CBDCs in mind?
I had in mind gold tokens. I had in mind stock tokens. No. The honest question is, I was stupid enough to not think about US dollar, British dollar, Australian dollar. And that actually cost me a lot of time and problems with the Australian government and others who basically wanted to bend me over a table and fuck me right royally.
Yeah, but guess what? They lost.
The language is just going, shh.
All right. Next. Okay, a stripy guy.
Didn't buy me drinks.
Stripy guy. What's the thinking behind the 4-year cycle? 4-year Harvard, what's that? Harvey? The fuck's Harvey? Anyway, I guess you know, right? Okay.
Nothing to do with entrepreneurs. It was actually a political cycle. If you look at the typical political cycles, they're 4 years. Generally, you go for 4 years of Bush, and then you go through 4 years of Obama, and Bush Mark II, and then Trump, and then Biden, and etc. Not really. It's a 4-year cycle because they actually have 4-year sort of election periods. What they end up doing is they have 1 year of thinking they're secure, 2 years of bullshit, and then 1 year of sucking up to everyone. It wasn't really about the Bitcoin. It was to do with the fact that that's how everything, when I was an auditor, worked. Even though I was in it.
All right, okay, so only one question. Sorry.
Just to answer.
This is, this is a difference, like Q&A for rapid fire, right? So you can chat to him for the
I
next
was an
2
auditor, and it just worked out.
Who wants to ask a question? Anisha, what do you want to ask? Whoa, sorry, I missed that. Say again. This thing is rattling in in my ears. What was I saying?
How much of the original investors in the UK have
Okay, that's my question, in fact. So the question was, okay, if you invest 10,000 quid into the Satoshi Block Dojo, what percentage then do you get in terms of the new cities that we're going to open up in Dubai, Asia, Africa, etc.? Okay, so we don't know, clearly. Jay, where's Jay? Jay, okay, hand up there. What does stand up like? Give a round of applause to Jay. So he's our international guy. Now, the thing is, if you think about it realistically, my success ratio has always been giving away a lot of share ownership. So in this share ownership, I have 22%. It then goes down to about 15% after we've given 30% away to the investors. So even if it's my baby and I've put money into it and it's my brainchild, I still only own 15%. But guess what? If you get really smart people into your team and you give them a big chunk of change, guess what? They tend to step up and they become co-founders and they tend to do an amazing job. So that has worked for 4 of my 5 exits, right? So in answer to your question, realistically, if we go to a new country and we have to find amazing people on the ground, genuinely, well, first of all, we will raise money to do Dubai, which means if we take it... Fuck! Speak to me later. Quickly, I genuinely, I think we will end up giving away 30% to investors, and then the rest is 50-50. So we, in the UK, you will end up with the 30% ownership of Dubai or whatever. Anyway, all right, okay. Next question, hand up. Yes, sir, what would you like? All right, so this is a man who clearly owns a BTC Bitcoin, and he's very nervous of what I said about the whole thing grinding to a halt. So how are you saying is that how can the current kind of BTC Bitcoin nonsense actually integrate with if like the BSV blockchain became the de facto blockchain for the world, what's going to happen to your shares? What's going to happen to your Bitcoins? Craig?
Basically, BTC will go to zero eventually. The whole internet thing is, remember IPX? Remember Novell Networks version 3, version 4?
Guys, sorry. If you're going to chat, if you're going to chat, please go to the other room, right? I'm going to come over here and fucking kick someone else.
So remember AIX? Remember DECnet?
Excuse me.
Remember,
sorry, this is my party. If you want to chat, please chat on no, outside there, my darling. Right? Chat outside there.
So the point is,
fuck
this is a
people want to listen. They don't want to listen to you.
One person wins. One protocol wins. It's not going to be millions of protocols like some people say. Do you want to go and have middlemen between every protocol exchange? Do you want to go, oh, I'm going to have Cragnet, and I'm going to go to Bobnet, and then to Ellisnet? No. The reality here is one protocol takes all. That's it. And no, actually, this whole so everyone's on this internet thing. Right now, everyone's on this internet thing. It is, actually. I've actually put it out there for free. I could have patented Bitcoin. I didn't. I could have patented the protocol. I've done a whole lot of other things to do with identity and other such things that will fuck over government, not average people. The average person will actually make a lot of sort of benefit because of Bitcoin. the things I've fucked over are government and big banks. Right now, I can make Visa and MasterCard 100 times cheaper. And I can do that making money, a shitload of money. And eventually they'll realize that. They'll realize that I can cut down their fraud by 80 to 90 times. And guess what? I'll make money. The average person will too, but Visa will fuck over the average person to make sure that any of that profit will go back to Visa. And MasterCard will fuck over the average person to make sure that profit goes to MasterCard. But the reality is, those people in Ethiopia, Kenya will benefit.
Who's next? Okay. You, sir, the blue shirt. Shit, I was supposed to remember that question. Something about political and scale.
No, I don't think Afghanistan has anything to do with BSV.
Wait, I'm going to hand over to Richard.
All right, thank you very much, panel. I think we're done for the night. Now, we have a prize draw, all prepared, and the bag's gone missing. So we're going to have to resort to some creative tactics in order to pick.
I won.
No, not that creative. No. Right, but thank you very much to all of our panel. We'll do the prize draw next, so let's give them a hand of applause. Round of applause. Hey. I think you're gone. Yeah, I think it's all over. Thank you. Craig, actually you have to stay on stage because we're asking you to do the random prize draw now. Right, thank you. So, okay, this is a huge fuck up, however, we're going to manage somehow. What we've got here is 5 pages of names, okay? So, and that's the prize draw, right. Okay, fantastic. So, I've shuffled these pages. Craig, if you could pick between 1 and 5. There you go. Well, actually, tell me what you want to pick, and I'll put it down, and then we can, because we have to pick
The middle page down the thing.
the middle page. All right, here we go.
And I'm going to pick by randomly pointing at something.
How will
No, you have to choose a number.
you have to choose one? That's it.
21.
21, okay. Let's count down. 1, 2, 3, okay. Nawaz, Asa, Michael, Evie, and John.
all kind of separate. It was a beautiful thing.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
Next time I'm going to say 1.
Is Ibrahim Hashim?
Ibrahim? Is that you?
You may have to choose again.
Is that?
Pick again, another name. All right.
Page 1.
Hold on a second, let me shuffle.
Reshuffle.
All right.
Page 1.
Page 1. And?
13. Lucky 13.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Did we do that right?
Yes.
Okay. Michelle Sam. Well done. Thank you very much, Craig. Well done.
You have the right to invest your house in a new product.
Woo! Well done, honey bunny. Now, okay, so the question is, you have the option, do you do 2 flights to Tokyo, or do you take 10 BSV Bitcoins? Which is it? Okay. Okay, so what we should do is audience participation time, right? Okay, so, Hands up. Like, should she like take, or actually there is another alternative. Who would take 2 tickets to Tokyo? Hands up. And who would take 10 BSV Bitcoins? Look at all. I mean, I think that's 50-50, so well done.
50-50, 1 ticket and
Billy, no mates, clearly. Are you going on your own, darling? All right, so who in this room do you quite like? Because Andrew Hughes is amazing. I mean, really, he is the amazing, most entrepreneur guy. Anyway, a big round of applause. Congratulations. All right, guys. Sorry, it's all dragged on way too long. I do apologize. So we're here until 11 o'clock. There's loads of beers and whatever. And then if you want an after party, see me for 11 o'clock to 4 a.m. Thank you very much. Goodbye.